How did a Roman general become so obsessed with this fruit that he recorded it as part of one of his greatest military victories, and why has science never fully disproven his claim, even today? Wild cherry trees have grown naturally across regions spanning Europe and Western Asia for tens of thousands of years, long before any human civilization existed to document them, with archaeological evidence of humans eating wild cherries dating back to the Stone Age. Deliberate cultivation, however, appears to have developed independently much later, with early evidence pointing to regions around the Caspian and Black Seas as likely centers where humans first began intentionally growing cherries rather than simply gathering them wild. The cherries' connection to Rome comes through a specific historical figure, the general Lucullus, who, according to Roman writer Pliny the Elder, discovered particularly impressive cherry varieties during his military campaign against King Mithridates in the region of Pontus, along the Black Sea coast, around 74 BCE. Lucullus reportedly brought cherry trees back to Rome following his victory, and this specific account remains one of the most frequently cited origin stories connecting cherries directly to the ancient Roman world. Whether Lucullus genuinely discovered cherries or simply popularized an already known regional variety remains historically debated, since evidence suggests cherries were already being cultivated across parts of the ancient Mediterranean and Near East well before his military campaign occurred. Regardless of the exact origin, Roman cultivation of cherries expanded significantly following this period, and the fruit spread throughout the empire alongside Roman military and trade expansion across Europe. As Roman territorial control extended throughout Britain following their invasion in 43 CE, cherry cultivation reportedly spread into England during this same period, with some historical accounts suggesting Roman soldiers and settlers planted the first cultivated cherry orchards on British soil. This established a cherry-growing tradition in England that would continue, largely uninterrupted, for nearly 2,000 years afterward. Following Rome's collapse in the 5th century, cherry cultivation, much like numerous other refined agricultural practices, was preserved significantly through European monasteries throughout the medieval period. Monks maintained careful records of grafting techniques and specific varieties, and cherry orchards became a genuinely valuable, reliable source of income and food for monastery communities throughout much of medieval Europe. Cherry cultivation received a significant royal boost in England during the reign of King Henry VIII in the 1500s, who reportedly developed a genuine personal fondness for the fruit after tasting particularly impressive cherries grown in Flanders, in what is now Belgium. Henry specifically commissioned expanded royal cherry orchards in Kent, a region that subsequently became strongly associated with English cherry production for centuries afterward. European colonization eventually carried cherry cultivation to the Americas, with European settlers introducing cultivated varieties throughout the 1600s and 1700s, though North America already possessed its own distinct native cherry species that indigenous peoples had utilized for generations prior to European contact. This created a similar pattern seen with other fruits, where European cultivated varieties gradually merged alongside pre-existing Native American species following colonization. The 1800s brought significant commercial transformation to cherry cultivation, particularly across America's Pacific Northwest, where ideal climate conditions in states like Washington and Oregon proved exceptionally well suited to large-scale commercial cherry farming. This region eventually developed into one of the world's most significant cherry-producing areas, an agricultural identity that continues defining the region's economy today. Modern genetic research throughout the 1900s and 2000s has helped clarify cherries' complicated domestication history, confirming that today's commercially grown sweet cherries descend primarily from wild European and Western Asian species, while a genetically distinct sour cherry variety, used predominantly in baking and cooking, emerged through natural hybridization between two separate wild cherry species thousands of years ago, essentially creating an entirely new fruit through pure biological accident. So think back to that opening question, a Roman general who may or may not have genuinely discovered cherries, whose account nonetheless became permanently embedded in agricultural history for over 2,000 years, still repeated today despite lingering historical uncertainty. The cherry story reveals something fascinating about history itself. Sometimes what gets remembered isn't necessarily the most accurate account, but simply the one somebody bothered to write down. The next time you eat one, remember, you're tasting a fruit whose most famous origin story might not even be entirely true.